75 Derby Radio. What's your name? Can you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon,
good
75
afternoon.
Derby. My name is PC Malcolm. I am a safer neighbourhoods officer and I work in Dagenham East.
Okay, what does PC stand for?
PC stands for Police Constable.
Police Constable. Okay, cool. How long have you worked for the Met?
I've worked for the Met for approximately 4 years.
4 years. How are you finding it?
It has its challenges, although I find it to be a very, very rewarding job.
Okay, so it's what you expected, yeah? Would you say?
I wouldn't say that I had any particular expectations as such, because I believe that if you have a lot of expectations, you may become disheartened once they're not met. However, I do feel, like I said, it's been a very rewarding job.
Okay, what inspired you to join the Met?
And what inspired me? I have always had a soft spot for the underdog and the underprivileged, and I always wanted to make, which sounds like a cliche, I always wanted to make a difference. And I think those two things, coupled with the fact that as a black woman, I would be a very good role model for people either wanting to join, younger people such as children and the youth that tend to fall into some predicaments sometimes. I thought that I would be in a very good position as a police officer to help encourage them and steer them on the right path.
That's interesting. What are some of the hurdles you have to overcome?
The hurdles. There has been many a hurdle in this job. Some of the hurdles that I've had to overcome is from the offset when I've joined the job, through training school. Exams has never ever been my
thing.
Yeah, it's never really been a thing for me. It's never. I've never been very great at exams.
You get cold feet?
I wouldn't say I got cold feet. I think if anything, it helped propel me further. It was a bit of character building. It helped set this foundation, determination to push through, and it's helped me in my career so far. And also part of the hurdles, I think, comes from my own black community. There, I haven't had much in terms of people of the black community having an issue with me being a black police officer. However, there has been a few issues there.
Okay, are you able to mention some or
some of the issues? I think the relationship between black people and the Met hasn't always been the greatest.
Definitely.
And because of that, I'd say distaste, which is a very mild word to use. Because of that distaste, I think black people have their own perceptions on how the Met are and how the Met interact with black people and deal with black people and process black people when they come into contact with the Met. And then I'm not talking about contacts in your general day-to-day conversation. I'm talking about on the other end of the law. But I think what is important as a black police officer is always to engage with the black community and explain the reason why we as police officers do what we do, and then also to bridge that gap, because as a black woman interacting with black people, sometimes I'm the only person that can do that perfectly. Definitely. Because I'm coming from the same background.
Because you get to understand them. Because one of the issues we have, I think the community, when we're interacting with the police, always sees the uniform. We don't get to see you as a person. We don't think that you're a human being. Why do you think that is? You know?
Because I think that police are heavily scrutinised, and we should be, because we're public servants and we are supposed to provide a service, and it has to be professional. I believe that. But I think because there has been such a negative aura surrounding police, and because we haven't always been the greatest at communicating, and we haven't always been the greatest at adhering to standards, it's kind of fallen away. It's fallen by the wayside. And I think that as police officers, if we concentrate on those core values and always try and put the public first, I think we can't go wrong.
It is Black History Month, and as a black officer, what do you think your role is to the community?
My role in Black History Month to the community is to celebrate being a black woman, to celebrate our background and what we have to offer, and what I can bring to the policing service as a black person. You know, we've had a conversation prior to this interview, so I could just find out a little bit about 75 Derby, which is a local radio station. And you know that I'm from a West Indian background, and I have very strong core values. And I think that with that I can bring that to policing, and that goes quite far in this job.
Do you feel like your other colleagues, let's say white colleagues, are they willing? Because you said earlier that you find it, interacting with the black community, you find it easier, and you feel like you do it well. Do you feel like your white colleagues, are they very like? Do they come to you for help? Let me put it this way: do they come to you for help to see how they can engage better with the black community, or do you feel like they can do it? They're already good at it.
I won't give a blanket response, because I wouldn't say all my white counterparts have found it challenging. However, there has been some occasions when they have asked me to step in, because again it's bridging gaps. I think it may have been last year when we attended an unlicensed music event during COVID, when people weren't doing what they were supposed to do. It was generally a party that was attended by a lot of black people, and I think it goes very far when you've got a black officer that's there to kind of say to explain the fact that you're not supposed to be holding parties during lockdown. I think sometimes if that's coming from an officer that doesn't maybe share the same kind of background as you, it's harder to accept, and sometimes the communication doesn't really come across the right way, and just how people are being handled doesn't come across the right way.
Definitely.
So it's always good when you have someone from your background in the Met that can kind of break down those barriers, because that's what it is. It's about breaking down barriers and creating new relationships, sustainable relationships between the community and the Met.
You see, you've spoken about bridging the gaps. We all know the black community, all of us, actually not even just the black community, as communities in general, we all have a different background. Our brain is different, the way people are brought up is totally different. Some communities are louder than other communities, and obviously when the Met approaches certain individuals, they're gonna kind of like end up speaking louder than, let's say, someone from a different background would react. Do you get what I mean? But do you feel that the police is understanding of that? Do you feel like the Met is doing something to try and bridge those gaps within different communities? Because, like I said, people come from different backgrounds. The upbringing is totally different. Some people are loud, some people are quiet.
I think that the Met is learning to appreciate that and understand that. And I think that the Met is learning in a way where it's having these job fairs today, where we have this outreach event where we are trying to encourage people from the community to join the Met. And it's not just any Joe Blogs we're asking to join the Met. We are asking people that have the right characteristics to join the Met, and people that come from varying backgrounds, because London is a city that have people from varying backgrounds. You have people from India, Afghanistan, from China, from Jamaica, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone. So you need officers that reflect those backgrounds in order to better understand people and better communicate with people and better support people. And that's what we're here to do. We're not just here to lock people away, we're here to engage.
That's interesting. Now, where I come from originally, police officers hold guns. Do you feel safe walking around London with people holding weapons, and you have, I don't know whether you have a gun or anything, but I don't see any gun on you. So do you feel like safe without holding a gun when you know that, let's say you might approach someone that has a gun or a knife? Do you feel safe as a police officer?
Do I feel safe as a police officer? I think the concern, I wouldn't say worry, concern is always there as a police officer, because I look at it in the sense that you're marked because you have a uniform on, like you mentioned before. So if people already have this negative perspective about officers and you're wearing a uniform, you're almost a target. But again, coming from a West Indian background, I come from a Christian background as well, and I I hold my faith quite near to me. So, you know, I say my prayers and I go to work and I wish for the best. That's it.
Definitely.
That's it.
What you mean.
That's how I personally go through my day to day. Other people, it might be a bit different for them, but that's how I go through my day to day. I don't make those things worry me, because in policing there's so many other challenges that you've got to face. So I can't make that the first thing that I'm thinking about, otherwise I'll never get anything done.
That's true. Thank you for that. Now, the black community feels like you being a black officer working for the Met, they see you as a betrayer, you know, and this could be because of the Martin Lawrence case, the Mark Duggan, and also recently Chris Cover case. Do you understand where they're coming from?
I absolutely can understand where a lot of black people within the community would look at me and think, oh, well, you know what, she's a traitor. But I'm here to try. I'm actually here to try and help. I never joined the Met because